Hello, flower lovers. I'm Carolyn Ellis. Welcome to Design in Bloom, seasonal flowers for your table and home. I often hear people say, I love flowers. I wish I could arrange them. Design in Bloom is my response. In each episode, I will take you step by step through a flower arrangement, low stress, high success. Thanks for joining me. Let's design some flowers for your table and home.
Hello, flower lovers. I'm Carolyn Ellis, and this is Design in Bloom, arranging seasonal flowers for your table and home. I'm so glad you're with me today. Spring is near at hand. We have the longer, brighter afternoons from daylight savings, and in warm places, the daffodils and crocuses are peeking through. Today, we're going to make a garden-esque arrangement, a parallel design, in honor of spring. Parallel design is interesting and wonderful because it has two elements. It has a tall vertical screen with the stems parallel, and then it has a rich tapestry groundwork with lots of foliage accented with flowers. All we're headed toward and all we want for you is low stress and high success in this parallel design. Parallel design is also interesting because you select the flowers with something a little different in mind. The ones that are going to be in your tall vertical screen, we're going to see in profile. So we'll be thinking about how the blossoms look in profile and the character of the stems and the foliage. The first of the flowers I'm going to use is this beautiful blue iris, and as you can see, it's vertical and it has a very simple, clean stem. I'll be cutting this to be this height. I've actually made a couple of pinpricks here in my oasis so I know where I want to put this. Placing the vertical flowers can be a bit of a challenge. I wanted to tell you too about the container. The container is this low black rectangle. It's made of metal. It's 17 inches long, 3.5 inches wide, and about 2.5 inches deep. The oasis I've cut to fit, and I'm letting it rise above the edge of the container so that the plant material in the groundwork can be stuck in to the side and then angle down over the container. I don't trust the pressed metal seams on a metal container, so I've lined this one with black plastic, which you may be able to see. It's a heavy gauge black trash bag that I've cut to fit. And then here is the oasis. I'm using the midnight one that is black, and as you can see, I've made some little marks with a pencil where I plan to put the vertical flowers. A hallmark of parallel design is groupings. So I have one here, and I'm going to add another iris. I do want to keep everything very slim, and so I'm using irises that are in bud, but not in full flower. They will open, and that's fine, but for now, I do want them to stay slender. I'm going to place the second one a little bit offset and bring the blossom down just a little bit so that when they open, they'll be offset from one another. There you go. And these have this incredible purple color with the yellow highlights. Next, I'm going to use Pussy Willow, also for spring, and I'm going to use the tops of these beautiful branches. They're going to go on the left side, and again, I'm measuring a little bit by holding this just off the table so that I can cut. Straight stems aren't always so straight as we would like to think they are. Get this lined up. So I use two hands to do this. I'm going to let this one angle slightly back to get a little bit of the third dimension. Pressing it in with two hands, and I'm going to leave it at about the height of the iris. There we go. Then, it's always interesting to see what kind of curves and kinks there are in plant material that is ostensibly straight. So this has a lovely little bend to the left. I'm going to use that, take advantage of that, and place this here and let it just flare a little bit to the left. There, I like that. Then we'll take this off right here. Look at how sweet that is. Pussy Willow has a simple structure, but all this wonderful vertical interest. Then this stem, too, has a nice character, a little bend to it, and I'm going to take advantage of that here and let this rise in this other direction. So take these off at the bottom to make sure we get these driven in nice and far. There. Good. turn this back a little bit. I don't want this group too wide because in the end I'm going to tuck another grouping in there, you'll see. Okay, and here I think I'll use 4 for this. So let's just cut this a little bit shorter. Here. Take these off and place this right here in the front. There we go. That's good. Okay. There. Oh, I like that. That's good. Okay. Lowering these just a little bit. Great. The overall effect is going to be a rectangle, so I'm letting these be about the same height. Next, on the right, I'm going to use these beautiful white mini carnations. The color, the clarity and brightness of the color will just make the whole arrangement pop, and also makes the pussy willow look even more silvery and even more gray. Mini carnations we've used before, and we've talked about how they have a complex stem, but it is essentially a simple stem. And on these, I'm going to clean them up a little bit, trying to decide how many of these to take off. I think those can all stay. Let's see. We do want these all to be quite narrow. Just coming right in. These mini carnation stems are usually reliably nice and straight. Not so much for the pussy willow as you saw. I'm going to clean this one up too, taking off a lot of the side stems and just leaving enough of the blossoms. You're going to take this one off the top too. Oh, good. That's working very well. There we go. Okay. Now, one more side stem needs to be trimmed. Now, let this be a little lower so that we have a little more of a column of this white. Takes concentration. So now I've set the parameters of my rectangle. I have 2 more groupings in the vertical screen I want to add. For the daffodils, I've bound them together into a single unit. I took 5 blossoms and buds. I held them together first just with a little elastic so they'd stay together, and then I took natural raffia, if you can see this. So they're fastened together, and I'm going to insert them right here. So to do that, I brought along, believe it or not, a little letter opener, just to give a start to the entry point for this, and these are going to go right in here. So they'll hold steady. Daffodil stems are a little soft, so we want to be sure that they get a good grip. There we are. Pink tulips are the next element in the screen, and I'm looking for some that are pretty vertical. They can bend when they want to. So we'll see. I have some here that are nice and straight. Stick this here. I'm going to let this to the back a little bit. I'm also going to put it in at a bit of an angle because it does have a natural curve. Take the extra leaves off. The large leaves we'll remove. There. Get these at slightly different heights. Oh, that color's so pretty. Just beautiful. Just beautiful for spring. Okay. I think this leaf is going to come off too. It's screening the blossom. Not a fan of that right now. Okay. There. So here is our vertical screen and the beginning of our garden. So this is going to be offset with a rich tapestry of foliage accented with flowers. So for the foliage, I'm going to start on the right side with Israeli ruscus, which looks like this. And I love it because you can cut it multiple times and get a lot of small rosettes that will work really well. I have a few here that I've pre-cut, and these I'm just going to tuck in to create a carpet of foliage here, a lot of texture, and a nice low grounding for all of the vertical flowers. Let me snip this one up a little bit. You can see how that comes together. What's so interesting about using these flowers in a parallel arrangement is you really get to think about flowers in a new way. What does the stem look like? Is it clean and clear? Is it covered with leaves? How much texture is there? How reliably straight is the plant? It's just a lot of fun to be thinking about flowers you know and love in a new way. And also, I love how we just get to see these flowers as individuals, just as we all want to be seen and appreciated for being individuals. Now I'm going to move on and use this Pieris, which is Pieris japonica, harvested from the yard, from the garden. Whoops. And I love the color, and I love the arching habit. These are in bloom now here in Lexington. And again, they provide very good coverage because of the nature of the leaves and blossoms. So as you can see, I'm cutting this pretty close, taking the leaves off and driving these in at an angle again so that they stay nice and low. Just come around to the back here. I'm making these also flow over to the side. Nice contrast to the ruscus, which tends to just stand right up and be counted. We're letting these just make their way across the arrangement, across that beautiful groundwork. This arrangement is designed to be viewed from the front, but when you do that, you always make it look good from the back. That makes the front look a lot better, just like when you fix your hair, the back has to look good in order for the front to be okay. But good placement for this would be on a mantle, on a console table, or even in the kitchen if you were having a dinner party and serving buffet on the kitchen island or counter. You could use this as a screen to set off the serving area. I do want to go back and tuck a couple flowers into the groundwork. Here, beneath the mini carnations and in the ruscus, I'm going to put 1 or 2 carnation blossoms. You can see how that's looking. I'm just going to provide a little bit of interest and color. This looks good. Let's see. And also, I'm going to let it tilt to the back. Let this one tilt to the back a little bit, because again, that gives a really nice sense of this being finished, being complete. That's where we are with this. Now, the next foliage is going to be this beautiful Italian Pittosporum. It's variegated, and I'm going to tuck it in right around the daffodils. Look at this lovely color, delicate texture. This is a purchased foliage, not from the garden. I have friends in Los Angeles who have it growing at their front door, but I did purchase this. Give you a hint of how that's looking. See if you like the variegated color with everything else that's working here. So this has lovely small stems, and I'm able to just pluck those and drive them right in, bringing the plant material across a bit to the side, just to give a little bit of movement and direction. And love how the Pieris just drips and drapes down over the container. That just looks great. Let's just put a tiny bit more in the front. Here. Then I have something I'm going to add to the pink Pieris that I couldn't resist. Look at this. Special for today, mini Cymbidium orchids in a lovely pink with lots of ruby red freckles. I'm going to tuck these in. I'm cutting these off the stem and tucking them directly in with the Pieris. Here are 2 in the front. Tuck these 2 in the back right here, because I do think they provide a nice little bit of height, a little bit of lift that's very, very nice. There. That. And then we'll have one more for now in the front. Maybe more later, but we'll go with the one for now. Great. Okay. There. To hold on to something to push this in. So the last element in this groundwork is this laurel. And again, this is harvested from the garden as well. So feels very seasonal and very much like we're in the garden. The technique for the daffodils is called bundling, to put them together and to tie them with raffia or something is bundling. Otherwise, we do a lot of grouping in parallel design, both in the vertical element and in the groundwork. Okay, let me see what the back looks like. There we go. This is getting nice and fluffy. I like that very much. There we go. Okay. The Black Oasis is supposed to be wonderful because you don't have to worry about covering the material. And I guess that's true. But I'm never convinced that it isn't really almost better to have Green Oasis, which matches the plant material. The jury's out for me on that. But for now we're good. All right. So there's our wonderful shaggy laurel area. And within the laurel, I want to put one of these beautiful iris blossoms. There we go. Now, hold on tight. There we go. There. Maybe a second one. Let's put another little one in there. It's a little tighter. Okay. So, aren't we having fun with this? Here's our garden for spring. We have, in parallel design, a vertical element, a vertical screen where the flowers are seen in profile and highlighted for the beautiful character of the blossoms and the foliage. We have low groundwork in contrast, dense foliage highlighted with flowers to offset and balance the vertical screen. In traditional design, where you have a single point of emergence and the flowers coming out in a form of perspective, this in contrast has multiple points of emergence and multiple areas of focus, and balance is really important. The blossoms here are in the upper level, whereas in a traditional arrangement they would be close to the container with the smaller flowers around the edge. So we're using this wonderful, rich and dense groundwork to provide the balance that we need and to make this elegant and also very interesting. So I hope you enjoy creating your own parallel design. It's perfect for spring. It's perfect for other seasons too. You can change up the plant material that you use. And I'm glad you've joined me today, and I look forward to working with you again. Remember, low stress, high success is what we're aiming for. This is Carolyn Ellis, and it's Design in Bloom, arranging seasonal flowers for your table and home. Thank you.